afternoon, everyone, and welcome to one of RVN's new television shows, What the Why, with host Barbara Ann. In case you're joining us for the first time, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured out that what they're doing is what they're meant to do. Are you looking for something different in your life or career? Are you sick and tired of feeling sick and tired? Do you feel stuck and want to know how to get unstuck? All of our guests have something in common with you. They felt that way at some point in their lives too. So, whether you sought us out or found us by accident, and if you've watched before, you know I believe there's no such thing as accidents, this show is for you, and thank you for joining us. Our guest today is Brian Van Loan, the highly experienced and talented hair expert and co-owner of Unique Hair with Jazz and Dad, a salon that serves all hair types with a specialty in Black and ethnic hair care. Brian is by no means new to hair. He has been involved in hairstyling and care for several decades now. His current salon, which he co-owns with his daughter Jazz, is located in Burlington County, New Jersey. In addition to his licensing, he has several certifications with a specialization in hair care and health. Brian has been breaking barriers his entire life, such as training in gymnastics. When he was in middle school, he was the first Black student at the Warmel School of Gymnastics. This was during a time frame where there were not that many males or minority team members, let alone somebody who was a combination of both. And he trained all the way through to high school and was offered multiple scholarships to go on with gymnastics, but he had kind of already figured out what his passion was, and that's hair. He has been a martial artist instructor. Even though he's moved away from that in recent years, he's done many other things as well. When he's not doing hair, he's a vocalist, a voiceover artist, an active member of his church, and he's an award-winning botanist. He's won several awards at the annual Philadelphia Flower Show for plants that he has grown. After several decades, he's begun preparing to pass the baton, so to speak, and it'll be interesting to see what he decides to tackle next. And if you're curious, and I have his permission to say that, yes, ladies, he is single. So without further ado, please welcome Brian Van Loan.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Pleasure to be here today.
And I joke, there's a time when I tell people that Brian is my hairstylist. And then when it starts to kind of look a little bit like this, I stop telling people who does my hair. But I've been going to Brian for longer than I've been with my husband, almost 3 decades. And so that's how I first met him, and I have continued to follow him through all of his different journeys. And I just told a little bit about your story, because everybody has one, but one of the signature questions of the show is, what did you want to be when you grew up?
My father used to always say, I would ask my dad that same question. I said, what did you want to be when you grew up, Dad? And he said, important, which I thought was interesting. My mom was a professional singer. My birth father was a professional singer. So I always kind of wanted to be a singer. My mom said, make sure you know how to do something else, because it's not easy getting into that business. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking about other things. In high school, like I said, I enjoyed my gymnastics. I was fortunate enough to get scholarships to Naval Academy, Temple, but I decided I wanted to do something different. The Naval Academy wasn't going to be good for me because I wasn't really the yes sir type.
No.
So I figured I'll shy away from that. And somewhere along the line, the fact that, well, I've always liked women a lot. I had artistic ability. I said, I know what, maybe I'll be a hairdresser. And it's funny because it started around the same time as there was a movie out with Warren Beatty, and it was called Shampoo. And they swore that's why I did it, but actually I had made a decision beforehand. I was away on a class trip, I painted a girl's fingernails. I said, you know what, maybe I'll be a hairdresser. Okay. Because I also had a scholarship for art and the ability to draw and things of that nature.
Okay.
So like I said, a little bit artistic anyway. So I just pushed forward and decided to go to hairdressing school in 1976.
Wow.
Yes. So I've actually been a hairdresser for 45 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
That's a lot of clients over the years.
yeah.
A lot of hair.
I used to make a joke. I said, I did everybody's hair once, at least once, I started out in primarily white salons, and they were happy to have some diversity. I would always get placed in the front of the salon. I worked in the Cherry Hill Mall.
Oh.
Place called Great Expectations across the hallway for command performance.
I remember that.
You remember that?
I do remember that. Oh my goodness.
Yep, and moving on from there, then I went to work for command performance in Cinnaminson.
Okay.
Right, so every time I would move, and I did a lot of moving in the beginning, I would just do better. I'd say, can you match that? And they'd say no, and I'd say, okay, I'm moving on. So I stayed with it. I love what I do.
Okay. So you moved on, and then you decide, I can do this. I'm going to be an entrepreneur myself.
It was kind of always my plan.
Okay.
I remember I used to write down my expenses and things on a spreadsheet. And I remember this one big spreadsheet I had on my dresser. And I wrote on the back of there that I'm going to own a beauty salon one day. Never quite lost sight of it.
You just put it out there.
Put
You
it
knew.
put it out in the universe, and I knew eventually I was going to make it happen.
Okay.
It was difficult, but I was used to difficult. I had a reading problem early on,
Yeah.
so school was definitely a challenge, but my family didn't do failure. That wasn't something, that wasn't an option. And I wanted to. And this part is like really important to me when I think about it, because there are so many children who struggle with reading. And one of the main reasons they can't get further is they're too embarrassed to ask for help. You see? I didn't have that problem. I was never shy. And fortunately, my mom, she instilled in me, you could if you think you can.
Yeah.
Right? And not to be ashamed, because she knew that I wasn't dumb. She knew her kid had a reasonable amount of intelligence. So I got help. It was still a struggle all the way through. But I wanted kids to know somebody can do something
Yes.
that seems beyond them. I wouldn't think at 7th grade, struggling on the 4th grade reading level all the way up through high school, that I might not be able to own my own business. But I persevered and I kept going until I got to it.
And from what I understand, you did well in high school, even in spite of the struggles.
I graduated with a 3.7 average
Wow.
on a 4th grade reading level.
Wow.
So I had great teachers, people who were willing to help me, because verbally I was able to express myself. I just had a problem when you asked me to write, to spell, because I make jokes about it now. Tell me, I just learned how to read like 34 years ago. So don't ask me to spell the word. Thank God for speak to text to talk on the phone.
Yes.
Right? So I was able to get past that. It was a good feeling to know, in spite of what my handicap was, if I kept pushing, I knew I would make it. My mom always said, you can if you think you can.
Yep.
And I thought I could.
And you did.
And I did.
So you mentioned your mom, you mentioned your teachers. I guess normally I would ask a question that kind of involves, who are the 3 most influential people in your life
Okay.
that contributed to who you are today? It sounds like your mom is definitely on that list.
She's definitely on that list. My grandmother,
Okay.
an amazing lady. In a time when people of color didn't have,
Yeah.
my grandmother had achieved, her and her husband, owning 2 properties,
Wow.
right? So we're talking about when my grandmother passed 30 years ago, she was 87.
Wow.
So
Okay.
imagine how far back, as this woman who came from South Carolina, who met this man from North Carolina, Haskell Peterson. And I called my grandmother Miss Peterson most of the time.
Okay.
Most of the time. She was known to be a proud lady. She walked with her back straight and her head held high. And she achieved many things. And she had 6 children. My mom was the youngest one of the 6. My grandfather died when my mom was 17, so I never met him.
Okay.
I just knew of him. But Miss Peterson was the person who instilled a lot of, you can if you think you can as well, right? And she used to have a cool saying, I think of her saying, she used to say, you don't need so much of friends. She said, you need God and a dollar. And if you keep them in that order, you won't get in trouble. She said, the safest secret in the whole world is from your mouth to God's ears. Everyone else is suspect. Okay.
I love that saying.
yeah.
And I know you took the dollar to heart because you still have your first dollar you ever made framed.
Hey, you got to say to yourself, well, this is some starting point that people can see, you know. But with my grandmother, who was an English teacher before she came north.
Okay.
And at that time when she came north, the society wasn't going to accept her as an English teacher because she worked in all black schools where she came from. But nevertheless, she was exceptionally proper and expected your grammar to be correct and speak properly. In actuality, my vocabulary was much better younger than it is now. Yeah, right now, you know, I've talked to other people, you get other inflexes of things in. But with her, you know, like another saying, you'd say, where you at? She'd say, behind that T. Other words, where are you is the correct way to speak.
I resemble some of that, so I can
You can relate?
I can relate, definitely.
Right. So my grandmother was a big influencer. My dad, which was my stepfather, because my father died when I was 2, and he was a professional singer as well. Okay, he used to sing with a group called the Dominoes, Billy Wharton and the Dominoes.
Oh, he was. Oh my gosh! So your grandfather was in that group.
My father was.
Your father was in the group.
My father
Wow.
was, and he was a lead singer
Wow.
at
Okay.
that time. He was replaced by Jackie Wilson when he started having family problems and had to deal with his mom and his missing brother and things of that nature. So that's how Jackie Wilson came on the scene, stepping into the spot where he was at.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but the man who came along as my stepdad, the man I call Dad, he never treated me any different
Okay.
than he did my sister, who was his child. And he was an amazing character.
Awesome.
And that was how he was one of the third people who, he would say things important like, respect the woman you love. He would tell you, if you care about her, then you'll protect her.
Okay.
So he gave me good values,
In
man-wise.
terms of how to be as an adult.
And if a man don't work, he don't eat.
Okay. So we need to take a break, believe it or not, already.
Okay.
So we will be back after this commercial break with Brian Van Lowe. Welcome back to What to Why.
Welcome back to What to Watch.
Yeah, What to
okay,
Watch.
all right, we're back on point. There we go.
Welcome back to What the Why with today's guest, Brian Van Lowe. Anybody who's watched this show knows I stand in authenticity when it comes to making mistakes, because we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so you were talking about your
So my dad, right?
otherwise known as your dad.
That's right. My dad, matter of fact, I'm actually trying to write a book about him. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I'm just struggling with a title because technically the only thing I come up with, my dad's better than your dad. So I'm working on it. Okay. He was an interesting man. He actually was a professional hustler, except my mother wouldn't marry me unless he had a job. So he became a printer at the Philadelphia Inquirer. Only 2 of the black men at that time on the East Coast who were printers. But he gained that skill when he was in the service.
Okay.
So that allowed him to be able to have that job. And at that time, he was paid high. Like it was I think he was making like $21,000 or something. And this is like 1970, early 70s.
That's pretty significant.
Right, that's like 65 or 70 grand now, I think.
Easily.
Right? But he literally didn't need a job because of his skills. He was a professional bowler. He was Tiger Woods before there was a Tiger Woods.
Okay.
I've seen him beat people in the pool hall. Any place you could bet he could do. That wasn't good enough for Mom. He needed a regular 9 to 5, something to that nature. And he loved her enough to get one. So it was interesting growing up with him, and he taught me a lot of things, and he showed me a lot of things, and he was an exceptionally talented man. So I was blessed to have him as my dad for the amount of time that he was with me.
Okay. So interesting that he was in the service. I'm curious, how did he feel when you decided that the military or that the Naval Academy wasn't for you?
Thought I was pretty smart.
Okay. So he was all for it, because sometimes you hear,
No. My parents wanted me to be whatever it was I thought I would be good at. You know, do something. If you could find something to do that you love to do, that was important.
Okay.
So he was proud of me prior to me getting to be a hairdresser.
Okay.
Because when he passed when I was 19, so I had been a hairdresser for
A
year and a
Yeah.
half, something about a year or so. But he supported me whatever I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was an extraordinary man. I always laugh because he was short. He was 5'8.5", nothing like a 5'8.5" Leo. Okay, you're talking about a whole lot of ego, and he could back up what he had to say, which made him exceptionally annoying to people who didn't like him. And I could talk about Leo's because his birthday was 2 days before mine, so I know.
Yes. Okay, that explains quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, give you a little confidence. You could be a little. My mom said, "I wanted you to be confident." He got a little carried away. That's about me.
So let's pivot back to business. So what is it that makes you unique from what other hairstylists, hairdressers do?
Well, one of the things is that we respect people's time, okay? The fact that we try not to kidnap you is relevant.
It's not an 8-hour trip.
Exactly. You can hang around a little while before COVID and socialize. But prior to that, I just wanted to make sure you never felt like you wanted to get up and leave. You know, there are people who have had experiences, their hair is wet now and they're sitting there and it's like 2 hours later and their hair is starting to dry naturally. I didn't want to be that, right? And then I knew that people needed to know about taking care of their hair. So for me, it wasn't just good enough for your hair to look good. I needed your hair to be good, right? So in my salon, we don't use products that you basically can walk into a store and buy, all right? So we're different in the taking pride in what we use, right? Everybody that works where I am has a license. Don't have a license, you can't work with me. Now, not gonna lie and say I haven't been stupid, because I have. Because I've had hairdressers who made a whole lot of money whose paper wasn't correct. And it cost me a lot of paper. So we don't make that mistake anymore, right? So the salon is always in the headset of staying clean.
I was gonna say, it's meticulous.
Right, you know, because people are sitting, they got a lot of time to search out dirt. You sitting there, and that's another reason to get you out. I don't need you to be, I don't need you to be looking to see what I, right, oh yeah. So we want to take care of your hair. We have a fun atmosphere. We play back and forth with each other all the time. But we're serious. We go to classes every other year, except for our little pandemic.
Yeah.
It's kind of thrown things off. My daughter is my partner. She became my partner. I made her my partner about 7 years ago. First, she had to work under me for a while because I had to get my money back for her hairdressing school. Because I was so surprised when she said she wanted to be a hairdresser. When she said she wanted to be a hairdresser, she was already working at a mortgage company. She graduated from Cheney. She had a degree in business math. So she was doing accounting and things of that nature. And then one day she came to me and she said, I want to be a hairdresser. I was, you want to be a what?
Wait.
Right?
It's like, stop. Wait a minute.
Yeah. And her mother looked at me like I had two heads. I had nothing to do with this. But you know what? She was my receptionist when she was 9 years old. When I was on High Street, my first salon, she literally would make appointments, sell products, and got commission for it, and was getting paid almost $4 an hour. She was the richest little kid she knew. Because $4 an hour in 1980, what was it, 85, 6, 7, 8.
Was more the minimum wage.
Yeah, it was like 89 or something to that nature. Somewhere, I get the hours, I mean the years can mix up, but I had a kid who was working in the salon. And she shampooed her first person when she was about 11 or 12.
Aww.
So she said, why are you surprised? I want to be a hairdresser. And she's turned out to be a very good hairdresser.
She's very talented. And right now the viewing audience is seeing some of the
That's one of her hairdos.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the girls, I have a young lady who does only natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter does all types. She's good with color. She doesn't call herself a loctician, but I do. And I have another young lady, we call her T. She does our weaves. And me, I do a little bit of a lot of stuff. I don't do weaves, I don't braid. I don't do little kids. I didn't do my own little kids, okay? So that's how much I did not want to do kids. They move a lot, their heads are almost the same size as yours, and their parents don't want to pay. So, and you know what, grown people, I do grown people, I do older people and stuff. They don't need to ask anybody for money and they don't get on restrictions.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
That's true.
so the salon is kept in terms of education, high products, right? Hair care. Because if you don't have any hair, I don't have any job. So I do everything I can to make sure your hair is healthy. And my team does the same thing. I've been very blessed to have these young people working with me, right? I love hair. I don't really ever expect to retire. I'm probably going to retire when I cough up a hairball. Okay. But I can step it back a little bit.
I was going to say, because I know we've had some conversations where you're like, okay, it's been 45 years.
I have other things I want to try. Perhaps, you know, a little voiceovers, a little more. That would be something I'd like to do, but I'm going to do hair. I'm going to do hair until I can't.
Okay.
That's how it goes.
That's fair.
But the salon is a decent location. It has been a journey that I've enjoyed. I've made my share of mistakes. I've opened salons and closed salons and opened salons and closed salons. But God is good to me, and I always end up landing on my feet, you know. And this time, where we're at now, I really don't want to move again. I hope to stay just there until I'm completely done, right? It's a good location, and the team is great, and I don't think they're in a hurry to go anywhere.
No, and to your point, they are younger, but they're clearly loyal.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have 5 stars on Yelp. I don't even know if you knew that.
I know we usually stay around 4. We usually stay around 4, 4.5.
5 stars on Yelp.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not the only person that's been coming to you for a long time. You've got clients that have been coming to you.
Oh yeah, I got a couple. I still got a couple ladies left who've been around for 40 years.
Yeah.
I've finally started. Some of them started passing because of how long I've been doing it. There's a lady named Miss Hannah. She's still living, thank God. I did Miss Hannah when I was 19 years old, and she's 39. She's now like 82 years old. You know, she just called me the other day to check on me, see how I was doing.
Aww.
Yeah. So I've had an amazing amount of people through the years who've stuck with me through different moves. Because before I got to my own, I worked in 13 beauty salons.
All right. So what advice would you give to someone trying to pursue something similar? As quickly as you can.
Okay. If you were, first off, Once you make a decision on what you're going to do, find other people who are doing it. See if you can get up under them. I had a lady named Lynn McMullen I learned a lot about.
Okay.
So if you can find somebody you want to deal with, pay attention, get the right education. Don't skimp on knowing how.
Yeah.
It's okay to work somewhere else long enough to get the information. Then you have to pursue it like, this is it for me. You can't left and right. It's like why I didn't go to college. You go there, you want to make your mind up, stay focused.
Get all in.
Yeah, instead of being all over the place. So pick what you want to do, and it can feed you. I live well. 20% of hairdressers make 80% of the money. I've been in that 20 percentile for a long time.
That's awesome.
Praise God,
Yeah.
for sure.
So believe it or not,
That's it.
we are out of time.
We're out of time?
So,
Okay.
but no, what you just said, that is awesome advice to anybody who's looking at pursuing anything. So thank you so much
It's been my
for
pleasure.
joining us today.
It's been my pleasure to be here.
Brian can be found on Facebook. You're seeing his logo now, but his contact information is going to be displayed. And, feel free to reach out to him to learn more about how he, works with his clients. And if you're interested in making an appointment, because they do all hair types. We've got, in addition to Brian and our past guests, we've got even more additional, I guess would be the better word to say, intriguing guests lined up. Next week, we're thrilled to welcome Chris Collins, the owner and publisher of the Anointed Journal in Camden area, and also the recently elected new council representative for the 2nd Ward. Our guest the following week, we're in our string of male guests, is Ian Hanley, Master of Social Work, owns his own therapy practice, but is also what some call the storyteller extraordinaire. You really don't want to miss what either of them have to say. As a reminder, What the Why airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. and at 3:30 p.m. on Monday. It's also available on demand on RVN Television and Roku. Remember, whether you're looking to make any change in your life or career, no matter how big or small, please join us again for more informational and informative conversations with guests like Brian and others who wanted to make changes in their life, overcame any fears and obstacles they might have had to find their core purpose and live it.